Hi guys and welcome to my channel. Sheesh, if this is your first time, my name is Puseleto and better known on the social streets as Mzansi Mom. Guys, I can't believe I'm actually doing this video. I have been gone. I haven't recorded a video in I think close to over a year. Yeah, which is why I'm doing this video. We are back in the YouTube streets, and I'm just gonna give you guys just a life update and what has been happening. Obviously from the title you can see that depression. Hey, depression in moholo, but but yeah, I missed you guys so much. Thank you so much to the people that were reaching out, sending me DMs. We miss you. When are you taking out a video? You begging my scuts. I'm back. Yeah, so if you want to know what's been happening in my life, please stay tuned to the video, comment, subscribe. Woo! I haven't said subscribe like YouTuber, guys. Subscribe, guys. You can't be watching my content and not subscribe. But welcome to the family. Yeah, and I know I've gained so much weight. So if you could be kind, please don't mention it, because I can guarantee that I know my clothes know that I've gained weight. Partly a part is obviously also with the dealing with depression, and now we are here. When the cheeks are cheeking, the double chin is double chinning. You can't tell me anything, but yeah, so I just be kind, guys. Don't comment. This is the second time I'm doing this video, and I haven't wanted to do a video in a while because I was like, oh, let me lose weight, let me be skinny, but we are where we are. So anyway, without wasting any more time, welcome to Mzansi Mom, and yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Disclaimer one, if you hear a buzzing noise in the background, that's because we have an inverter on, because load shedding is making us suffer. So I'm sorry if that kind of disturbs, but yeah, I have the inverter on. And then secondly, the topic that I'm going to be talking about is quite a serious one, but I am a person that likes humor. I'm a person that likes laughing at stuff and making things light. That please don't take that as me kind of dismissing or making little of depression. Yeah. So guys, okay. So this video is probably gonna be like, where have I been? Okay, where were you? Where were you in the YouTube streets and the social media streets? But yeah, guys, so let me take you back 2020, end of 2020. That's when I was like, no man, something is off. Something is off, and at that time I'd come from my girls trip, which you guys saw, and after that, guys, and you know, it's so crazy how a person can look so happy in videos. You are dying. So yeah, so 2020 came, and I realized with the smallest things is that I didn't want to be around people. I'm a person that loves people. I didn't want to be around people. I was just feeling sad, guys, like, and I didn't understand what is making me sad. Like, I would feel sad, and then another sign was I didn't want to be on YouTube. I didn't want to watch YouTube videos. I didn't want to be on social media. And I know people, you know, always talk about, oh, taking a break from social media, but I'm a person that absolutely loves YouTube, guys. Like, that's me, like, relaxing. It gives me joy. So the fact that I couldn't be on YouTube, it was like, hi, Mzala, no man, there's something happening. And when I say I couldn't be on it, like, I would get so anxious, like, and I know people also throw that word around, I'm anxious, but like, just to give you an idea, I would feel, have you ever had to do public speaking, where you prepared your speech, Mari, there's like butterflies in your stomach, no man. So that's what going on YouTube would make me feel, and it is something small, but for me it was big. It was a sign. Okay, fine. And then I went to Google and I searched clinical psychologist. Why? I don't know. Do I know what a clinical psychologist does? Absolutely not. But I was just like, okay, give out, you know, a black woman, somebody that's gonna understand. Okay, cool. Then I got this lady, and I booked the first appointment with her. And guys, you know when, I don't know how to explain this, but you know when you feel like you're wasting somebody else's time, like they're there to do the job. They're there to do the job. And you know, first session was fine. She's asking me, why do I think I'm here? Blah, 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 blah. And at that point, I thought I had somewhat of postpartum depression, right? Because some people like later on. So Ane was obviously born in Jan, and the timeline is now December. So I'm like, hey, I think that's what it is. Are you sure? Fine. And then after our first session, I just didn't have a good feeling. Then I'm like, no. It was the first session. I've never been in therapy. I don't know what therapy is like, so give her a chance. And then my second session, I released a video of the kids and I when we had COVID, right? So this is around this time. You can go watch that video. So I was like, yo, the kids and I have COVID, but I still want to work, because where I work, I'm basically in the health industry. I work for an institution that deals with infectious diseases, and I'm in communications, so I'm the person that's communicating if there's an outbreak, if there's, you know, something happening. That's me, right? And we have a very small team. So I remember telling her, and I'm like, shucks, I am off, I have COVID, but I have to keep working. And then Mzala says to me, yeah, I think this is self-abuse, what you're doing, and you need to be okay with, you know, feeling guilty, or you know, feeling those kind of emotions. And I'm like, self-abuse? I'm like, excuse me, ma'am. So I just felt like she was a bit harsh, but because also of the first session where I felt like she wasn't interested, like she wasn't within, she wasn't okay. But I went to feel like, oh my gosh, I feel so much better after talking. It wasn't that. So then I'm like, no, I probably have to find someone else. So guys, I would advise you against just Googling someone if you are struggling with your mental health, or you're struggling with emotions, whatever it is. I wouldn't recommend you Google. Rather go off of into recommendations and referrals, right? So then I spoke to a friend of mine, and she's like, and actually I dismissed it, guys. After those 2 sessions, I was like, no, Keshap, and like I'm Keshap, me trying to be Zoro. I'm like, no, Keshap, I don't need to meet with anyone. Oh, guys, it was getting worse and worse. And when I say it was getting worse and worse, guys, I was struggling to sleep. I would go to work and almost like black out. Like I would drive, and then I'd be like, Batum, how did I get here? When did I get here? My memory was, I was always forgetting things. But I think the big thing was the sadness and not being able to sleep. So then I saw a friend of mine, and I'm like, yeah, but you know what, it's normal, you know, I drive to work and I feel like, and I'm just like, yo, can I just get, you know, hit by a car? Literally, that is what I used to think about every time driving to work. And she was just like, that is not normal. I think you need to see someone, because yeah. And then she referred me to someone, and I met this person, and yeah, basically had sessions. And then I remember in the session, he was like, does your husband know how bad it is? I'm like, it's not that bad. It's like, no, I think your husband, I need to call him and just let him know that I do think that you are suffering with depression. Now, the person that they referred me to was a psychologist, and psychologists obviously can't prescribe meds. And he was like, listen, just for your symptoms, you know, for the insomnia, I do think that you may need to be on medication. Okay, sharp. Then referred me to somebody else who was a psychiatrist, and I met with him, and he put me on meds. And I was like, I don't think I'm that bad. Like the antidepressants, like guys, I just want to say, right, the biggest thing with depression, one, it's you actually coming to terms with the fact that you may be depressed, right? And more times, like, you actually compare yourself to other people, right? So I was like, no man, on paper I have an amazing supportive husband who is a present dad. I have amazing friends who I can talk to. I have a job that I love. Is it stressful? Yes. But do you know what I mean? Like, so I was like, no man, I get depressed. Like, I shouldn't be depressed on paper. So it was a long battle of actually having to accept that. But anyway, the psychiatrist then was like, I think you should be on antidepressants, and it will be mild one, but the antidepressants are basically meant to help with the side effects, so insomnia, the nervousness, and being anxious. So I was like, okay, cool, I'm on sleeping pills. And then he said to me, I need to go every week and just see him, right? So I was going to him for, I think, maybe 4 to 5 weeks, when he said to me, listen, I think you may need to be admitted, because I can see that you're not coping. And in my mind at that time, guys, I was like, death seems like an option. Me killing myself seems like a better option than me having to actually cope with life, right? And even in that, when I was in that dark place, I still felt like this is normal. Like, people get sad all the time. And he was like, no, I don't think it's normal, so you're gonna get admitted. So anyway, he was practicing at Vista Clinic. I'm gonna do a separate video, guys, of what it was like being admitted, the costs and everything. But anyway, I got admitted, I think it was for 2 weeks. Got admitted for 2 weeks, and I remember I was so scared, guys. I was just like, hey, like people that catch flies. And no offense, like literally all I know about people that get admitted into mental institutions is what you see on TV, right? They put those things and fast so you can't get out, and then they inject you, and it's like, you know, people talking to themselves in the corridors. So I was very scared. I'm not even gonna lie. I was just like, how am I at the point where I need to get admitted? I just feel like maybe you made a mistake. Okay, fine, I got admitted, was there for 2 weeks, and then I got out, and life was hard after getting out, because you just assume that, okay, I've taken a break, I've been away from my kids, surely after being admitted I should be fine, which obviously I wasn't. Continued on with life, and then fast forward a year later, so now we are in 2022, I think. Yeah, so now we're in 2022. I'm still having my weekly sessions. I just want to add, guys, being depressed is expensive. It is expensive. Imagine weekly sessions. Anyway, I'll get into the money in the next video, but yeah, and I'll still see my therapist for a while. And then I think at this point he hadn't changed my antidepressants, but I remember being in a session with him, and I used to see him every Wednesday. And I remember that Wednesday, and I said to him, I remember him asking me, do you think that your kids and your husband would be better off without you? And I said, 100%. I said, I feel like a burden, and I just feel like my kids would be better off. Yo, guys, I was in duck. And he said to me, I think we need another session, and I think you need to be back, like, booked off. And I remember him saying that, and I freaked out, because I was just like, no, I can't be booked off. What are my colleagues going to do? You know, there's work. It sounds silly saying it now, because ultimately what I was saying is, no, I want to continue going the way that I'm going, but the way that I'm going is going to make me feel like I need to kill myself. And I'm okay with dying, actually. So it's just quite bizarre. Anyway, so then it was like Wednesday, right? So he's like, okay, the next week we need to meet, and yeah, just discuss a way forward, because I think I need to book you off. And I was just like, I remember just being like, oh, okay. And he looked at me and he said, do you think that you will survive long enough for our next session? And I remember saying no. Well, one of that Wednesday, guys, I was in such a dark place that I knew that if I drive here and if I leave, I am definitely going to kill myself. Like, I'm tired of, I'm just exhausted about life. I'm tired of not feeling happy. Like, hey, guys, yo. And then he said to me, listen, I don't think we can wait for a week. I think David needs to come in. So that was the Wednesday. Then on the Friday we had another session. And if you don't know, guys, psychiatrists are actually quite busy. You book them like 4 weeks, 6 weeks in advance. But he was just like, nope, this is an emergency and I think you need to come in. And I remember then on the Friday, David coming in, and obviously David has never been in my session, so he's trying to understand what it is that we talk about, where we are at. And I remember my therapist saying to me, this is a matter of life and death. If you do not take a break, I don't think you are going to survive. And I remember him using the analogy of, you know, playing soccer. And he says, at this point, your leg is broken, right? And you need to sit down. You playing on a broken leg is not going to help, and you're going to make things worse. And being the person that I am, I'm like, broken leg is a bit dramatic. So silly me, and I'm like, I say to him, well, I don't think I have a broken leg. I just think, you know, I have a sprained ankle. And, you know, like, because I play netball, I'm like, yeah, you just put an ankle guard, like, and he kept on saying, no, this is a matter of life and death, and I need you to hear me. I need you to hear what I'm saying to you. This is a matter of life and death, and if you don't do anything about it, it's not going to end well. And I think in that moment I was like, okay, he is telling the truth. I have no ounce in me left to want to continue with life. Yeah. And then, yeah, guys, and then I remember then I had to go back to work, and my colleagues were just like, shucks, you don't look okay. And I basically explained to them, and my manager was not at work, but she called me and she's like, listen, if you're not well, if you had broken your leg, which is also a weird thing, this is when I knew it was God, because the analogy that she used was the same one that my therapist used. And she was like, if you were playing soccer and you had broken your leg, why would you come to work? Like, just wrap up and take the time that you need, whether it's 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever your doctor does, like, just take it. And I remember feeling, yo guys, the sense of relief, because, and I think it's I don't know if I'm a people pleaser, but it was one of those things that I was really struggling. When you struggle with depression, you feel like you're a burden to everyone. So you are going to do everything in order for you to not feel like a burden, but inside you're dying. And I remember doing so much research, reading up on depression, because also in my head, when I would read about depression, you know, it would say people that are struggling to get out of bed, not even being able to brush your teeth, or crying. And I was none of those things. I am not a crier. I was going to work and killing it, guys. And then I'm like, oh, okay, there's something called high functioning anxiety, or high functioning depression, where you are go-go. To people, you seem like you're okay, but by the end of the day, you are done. Like, you are finished. And I was like, oh, okay, maybe this is what I have. Anyway, guys, then I do want to mention again, one of the other things that I struggled with was really struggling to find somebody that could hear me, that understood me. So when I was booked in, I would meet with a psychologist, and it had to be a different psychologist because of COVID protocol, whatever. And I remember this psychologist saying to me, looking at me and saying, oh, my dear, you are so naive. Like, how do you believe, you know, the best of everyone? Like, you are so naive. And I just remember thinking, feeling so small, and what that did was also reiterate in my mind that you don't have a huge issue. Your issue is just, you know, deal with what's happening. Work is hectic. At that time also there's a lot of church hurt that had happened, so then my relationship with God also took a knock, and I just didn't know who I was. And looking back in the past 2 years, I feel like I was floating. I don't know what I was doing, but it just was not me. So this is just to say that if you are someone that has never been to therapy, it's okay for you to change your therapist. If you can't relate with your therapist, or if you don't feel heard, babes, you need to change and find somebody else, because that's a huge thing. Because if you cannot be vulnerable, or if when you are vulnerable somebody makes you feel small, like, it's a big thing, right? So yeah, guys, and then they changed my meds and I was feeling better. And yeah, I took 3 weeks off and I went away. There was a part where I went away with a friend. Sorry, it feels like this video is going to be everywhere. A big part of when I did get admitted, right, I said to David, please don't tell my parents. I don't want my parents to know, because I know they're going to worry. And David was just like, but I need help. Like, I need for the kids to go to my parents. If you don't know, my parents stay in the Free State in Welcome, and that's like 3 hours away, because I was going to be admitted for 3 weeks. So he was kind of like, I have to tell them. And yeah, he told my parents, and I'm so grateful for David. Guys, as a given, obviously as Black people, mental health is not something that you understand. It seems like what are you talking about? And I remember just feeling the pressure of having to explain why I'm depressed, and I don't know why, because the question that people would ask me, oh yeah, like what happened? Like, are you and David in a difficult, like David went in, you know what I mean? And I'm like, guys, it's not that. I'm just overwhelmed. I know there's an immense feeling of sadness. I don't know where it's coming from. And I'm also trying to, you know, come to terms with it. And I realized that actually in that space, it's not my job to explain or teach you about depression, right? So if you are someone that is struggling, and you know your friends are struggling to come to terms with you being depressed, it's going to happen. Not everybody understands. Everybody assumes that there must have been something that happens, therefore why, you know, for you to be depressed. I also remember somebody saying a comment and saying to me, you're not the first one to have a difficult job. You're not the first one to struggle, you know, in a workplace. And almost like saying, like, just get on with it. And I was just, you know, like the Begazela type of mindset, and which also didn't help. And I will say that if there are people that don't get it, it's okay that they don't get it, because they're not in your shoes. Depression looks different for all of us. And you're really battling with the fact that you feel crazy. Like, you know, you're battling with the fact that, why am I feeling this way? And sometimes you don't know. And don't put the pressure on yourself to want to teach people about you being depressed. It is not your job. You can easily share and open up if you feel comfortable. Yeah, so that was difficult, and I would share now and then on social media. And guys, the amount of people that could understand where I was coming from, and thank you to those people that commented. And you know, it was such a dark place, and I'm so happy that I'm out of it. I'm so happy that I'm sitting in front of the camera. I'm doing the things that I love, guys. I couldn't be around people. I couldn't be in crowds. It would just make me so anxious. Oh, sorry. And then I mentioned in the beginning of the video that one of the reasons why I gained weight was because of one of the pills that my doctor had prescribed, guys. So even that is something that people don't talk about, that you have to, it's a trial and error thing. I remember being on these meds, guys, and I would be starving. Like, the people that know me, but I don't usually eat like big quantities, guys. I would, like, I would go to sleep and I wouldn't be able to sleep because I am starving. So that's one of the reasons that obviously I've gained weight. And I went to my doctor and I was just like, sir, okay, obviously already, but I was just like, I'm not happy with these pills, and he changed them. So that's also another thing that people don't realize, guys. When you comment on people's weights and people's looks, you don't know how they got there, you don't know why. And obviously being depressed, also you stop taking care of yourself. Like, I haven't played netball in a while. I wasn't going to gym. I was drinking a lot, and when I say drinking or not, like every night, guys, I would drink like 2 bottles of wine, and even that was a telltale sign to say, and I was drinking to numb. I didn't want to feel sad. So if I had alcohol, I would feel happy. And I also became quite defensive as well, where, you know, people will see you and they'll be like, okay, you're drinking quite a bit, and you know, you kind of, you just like, you defensive about that. No, I've just had 1 glass. Oh my god, your 1 glass is, you are on the 7th glass. So that also contributed obviously to me gaining weight, and that also then meant that I didn't want to take pictures. I didn't want to take pictures with my kids. I was, hey guys, I don't know, the last 2 years, shame, I won't tell you what has happened or what was happening. Oh, and then another big thing as well that the depression did. So like I said, I work in communications, which my job requires me to be creative, guys. I have never struggled so much with my job, because I had nothing left. Like, I couldn't be creative, and then which means that you demotivated at work. You feel like your work is subpar. Depression really affects a huge part of your life and in different areas, and you can only pretend for a certain time. After some time, you just like, no, this is too much. So yeah, guys, so that is what has been happening the last 2 years. And I can really safely say that I'm so much better. I'm doing the things that I love. I am, you know, going out with people. If you don't know, I absolutely love dancing. And guys, this year in Jan was the first time my kids saw me dancing. It was the first time my kids actually saw me happy, and I was just like, man, depression in my I don't have any other better way to put it. But if you have those symptoms or you feel like you are not okay, I'm just here to say that it's a journey. You need to be kind to yourself, and I know a lot of people throw that out, like, but literally your brain lies to you. And that's why I'm saying, like, now I can sit back and be like, what? How on earth did I think my kids would be better off without their mom? Like, my friends would be better off, like, you know. And now I'm like, shucks, I have value, I have worth, there's things that I want to add to this life. And yeah, I'm in such a better space, I'm in such a good place, and I'm looking forward to recording more videos, more vlogs. I know you guys haven't seen the kids in a while, so I'm really looking forward to it. I actually wanted to do a whole series on depression, because depression looks so different for so many people, and we cope differently. And I just want to say that if you are struggling, you are not alone. If life is hard, you are not alone. And I remember with Rick passing, you know, a lot of the comments were, oh, you guys need to talk, why are you bottling things up, guys? And I'm just like, it just shows how people don't actually understand depression. Yes, there are people that are not talking to anyone, but I have such a good support system, guys. I was talking, my friends knew absolutely everything. But it doesn't take away that feeling of just being overwhelmed with life and just wanting to die. Like, yo, yeah. So I do get days where I still feel sad, but it doesn't get to the point where I'm like, I'm ready to end my life. And I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful that I'm sitting here today. Yeah, because I feel like 2 years back, a year back, I couldn't even imagine me sitting here and sharing where I have been. So yeah, guys, so thank you so much for watching this video. If you are interested, I'm going to make another video in terms of, like, you know, how much it costs, medical aid, being admitted, and the clinic that I was in, and what it's actually like being in a mental health institution or clinic. But if you like this video, share it, comment down below. We are back. Ramona fair. Oh, guys, yeah, anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one. I need to calm down. I'm sorry if that made a noise. I haven't said that, guys, in over a year and a half. But I will see you guys in the next one.